We are going to get started, though, so I would like to welcome everyone to Canton, Ohio, home of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. My name is Mike Myers, and I work here in our Youth and Education Department. So I'm honored to be with you, bringing you our latest installment of the Heart of a Hall of Famer series featuring Mr. Floyd Little. The mission of the Pro Football Hall of Fame is to honor the heroes of the game, preserve its history, promote its values, and to celebrate excellence everywhere. That's celebrating excellence not just on the football field, not just in sports, but excellence in the classroom, excellence in the business world, excellence in the arts. So it's something that we really get excited about here. And one thing that I love about this program is that we really hit on every one of those points. We're going to honor one of our great heroes of the game today, and Mr. Floyd Little. We're going to preserve the game's history. We're certainly going to celebrate excellence, and we're certainly going to promote the values of the game of pro football. We do have a couple schools tuning in today all the way from Fabius, New York out to Bozeman, Montana. But in addition to that, we have a couple schools and folks tuning in on our webinar. And for those, I just ask if you would like to submit some questions to use our hashtag, which is hashtag HOFvalues. And once again, that goes for either those in the classroom as well. If you're taking pictures or anything social media-wise, please include that hashtag along with the Pro Football Hall of Fame handle at profootballhof.com. So thank you for that. Before we get started, I have a couple of people to thank as well. Namely, they're in Fabius, New York, the Central New York Regional Information Center, our dear friend Amy Spath. Always great to work with you, Amy, so thank you for all that you do up there. Secondly, our principal, Mr. Kevin Linick, for opening the doors there at the high school to host Mr. Little. Very much appreciated. Next, I'd like to thank our partners, Extreme Networks. They do a lot of great things for the game of football and for our education system. So without them, this program would not be possible. So thank you to you folks as well. Next, I'd like to thank our teachers. We obviously believe here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame that the game of football teaches much more than football. We'll get into that a little bit here today, and those Hall of Fame values of commitment, courage, respect, integrity, and excellence. And we appreciate you guys sharing in that belief and look forward to what Floyd's insights may be on that today. Lastly, I want to thank our students because without you guys, I have to ask a lot more questions. So I'm going to turn that over to you guys here when we get into the question and answer and really let you guys drive this program and be the star. So I'm excited to hear about some of the research you've done on Mr. Little's career and see what questions you may have for him. With that being said, would like to recognize all the schools we have participating today. So as I say the school's name, if you would please unmute your microphones and make some noise for Mr. Little. Let him know you're here. Let him know you're excited to be participating. So we're going to make some noise. So we're going to start right there in Fabius, New York with the high school. And if you guys are right in front of him, so make some noise and let him know you appreciate him spending some time with Thank you guys. And then for our second school, we're gonna stay in Fabius. We're gonna go to the Fabius Pompey Elementary. So if you guys want to mute and welcome our guest speaker today.
Ready?
And then for our third school, one of the great things I love about this program is we're in Fabius, New York, and now we're gonna go all the way out to Bozeman, Montana. So I see a couple kids in the room, so you guys better make some loud noise out there and be proud. Be proud. Perfect, thank you. And if you could all go ahead and mute, we have a brief video I'd like to show just to give you guys some insight, some highlights for what Mr. Little accomplished on the football field.
It could be argued that without Floyd Little, there would be no Denver Broncos. In 1967, Little became the first #1 pick to ever sign with Denver, and his success and popularity sparked interest in the team and prevented the relocation of the franchise.
We go, Floyd!
From 1968 to 1973, nobody in pro football rushed for more yards or had more yards from scrimmage than Floyd Little. He made the Pro Bowl 5 times in his 9-year career. And when he retired, He was the 7th leading rusher in NFL history.
Well, now we're back here. I seem to have. There we are, and we're back. Perfect. So that was a little insight, a little video to help you give it an idea of what he looked like on the football field. We saw there Floyd was a member for the Denver Broncos. He was actually the first-round selection, selected number 6 overall for the Broncos in the 1967 AFL-NFL draft. What made him so appealing to the franchise was the versatility that he showed at the University of Syracuse. And that easily translated over into the NFL. Early on in his career, Denver utilized him more as a returner. He was a kick returner, punt returner, and during that rookie season, he led the AFL, which is now the current day AFC, with a 16.9-yard average and 16 punt returns. As he refined his running style at the pro level, they kept giving him more and more carries. By his third season, he was over a 1,000-yard rusher, first ever 1,000-yard rusher in Denver Broncos history. He actually won the NFL rushing title that year with a little over 1,100 yards and scored 6 touchdowns. We talked about that versatility a little bit. He was a punt returner, a kick returner, running back. He was also a threat out of the backfield catching the ball. Over his last 5 seasons, as most players start to maybe decrease in their skill set, Floyd kept going up. He had at least 25 receptions in each of his last 5 seasons. He also scored in a 3-year stretch from 71 to 73, 32 touchdowns. All in all, when he retired, he amassed over 12,000 all-purpose yards and scored a total of 54 touchdowns. He was one of the most feared men on the football field of his time. He's the recipient of 18 Professional Athlete Achievement Awards and is enshrined in this. I hope I got this right because I thought I heard you maybe talking to students there. 7 Halls of Fame. I thought maybe you had mentioned 8 there early on there, Mr. Lowe, so you have to correct me if I'm wrong. But just it's 8, my fault. Put it this way, I can't name 7, and you're enshrined in 8. So that just gives you guys an idea of the kind of gentleman we're lucky enough to speak with today. But maybe more importantly, he's also been awarded over 31 Distinguished Community Service Awards during his career. In 2012, he was recognized by the Walter Camp Football Foundation as its Distinguished American. In 1974 alone, Mr. Little received 3 of the most prestigious community service awards in the country, including the YMCA Brian Piccolo Award, the Distinguished American Award for Community Service presented by the Connecticut Hall of Fame, and the American Jewish Community Appeal for Human Relations Citation in recognition of his outstanding contributions he made toward the betterment of man and his community. In his later years, his pursuit of excellence continued. He graduated from the University of Denver College of Law in 1975, and upon retirement from the Broncos in 76, he was on NBC Sports as a television commentator. Today, Floyd resides in Syracuse, New York. He serves as the special assistant to the athletic director at Syracuse University and travels the country as a popular and well-sought-after public speaker for Touchdown Presentations LLC and makes appearances for the NFL and the Hall of Fame. In his spare time, he actively participates and supports numerous charitable events all around the country. Getting to know Mr. Little over the past couple of years, I can confidently say he's truly a man that exemplifies our Hall of Fame values of commitment, respect, integrity, courage, and excellence. So at this point, if we could all unmute and collectively give a big warm welcome to Pro Football Hall of Famer in gold jacket, Mr. Floyd Little. And Mr. Little, I will turn the floor to you for any open comments you may have to share with the students.
No, thanks, Mike. It's really an honor. This is one of the things that I enjoy as a Hall of Famer, is getting a chance to interact with our youth and just recall the days when I was back in school and the challenges that I've had, and hopefully to help them get through some of these difficult times that they will be going through during this time of their life. But just to tell them that it's all good and it can be done if you have a certain steps that you want to follow to make sure that you stay the course and you stay respectful and you show up on, stay responsible, and you have integrity. I mean, anything can happen today if you believe it. You got to believe it, though. And I was telling them about the story of how I used to say to myself every morning, if you think you can, you can. If you think you want, you're doing. If you like to win but you think you can't, it's almost a sense that you won't. Victory doesn't always go to the bigger, stronger, or faster person. The one who wins is the one who thinks he can. Sooner or later, the one who wins is the one who thinks he can. You believe that, don't you? You believe it strongly enough and you do your work, you can't fail. I talk about the 6 ingredients. You talk about the 6 pillars of a Hall of Famer, but I have 6 basic things that I really subscribe to. And it's a person that has drive, determination, dedication, and desire. You got drive, determination, dedication, and desire. These are which is called the 4 Ds. These are the things that are significant to your being successful. But the 2 that is the most important is like your thumbs. It's commitment and sacrifice. If you have a commitment or you're willing to make a commitment and you are willing to make the sacrifice that you need, you really don't need these. So it's really about commitment and sacrifice. To achieve a high level of success and achieve a level of excellence, if you make a commitment and you're willing to make the sacrifice, the world is yours. You own the world because a lot of people are not willing to do the work. And that's what commitment and sacrifice is. Thanks, Mike.
Perfect. I think one of the things you had mentioned last year when you were here in Canton, kind of go in line with what you just said, the difference between being totally committed and partially involved.
It's like if you really want to know the difference, I mean, a lot of people are involved in the process, but really haven't made a commitment. And if you want to know the difference between commitment and involvement, the next time you sit down and you order bacon and eggs, the chicken was involved in the process. The pig was committed. So there's the difference. You got a chicken who's involved and you got a pig that's committed. And sometimes if we want to really reach our level of what we can accomplish in our lives, you're going to have to make some sacrifices to do that. You have to make some commitments to do that. You may have to give up some things that you don't want to give up, like negative friends, negative behavior, procrastinations, negative anything to reach the level of success you need and want to reach. You may have to give up some things. A lot of people aren't willing to give up anything, and that's what is called sacrifice. Sacrifice those things over here for these things over here. If you want to succeed and you want to be successful, you got to pay the price. And you can do it. But you got to stay focused. You got to have a goal. And I always tell everybody, dream high, dream big, shoot for the moon, because even if you miss, you land amongst the stars. You got to have big dreams. If you can make it happen, because none of us know what we can become unless we challenge ourselves. There's 3 kinds of people in the world. There's 3 kinds of students. Those that make things happen, those that watch things happen, and those that don't know what happened. You got to decide which one you want to be. It's up to you. You can make it happen or you can watch it happen. What do you want to do? Make it happen. Then you look back and say, it was a good deal. It was a good deal. I enjoyed that. And that's the kind of things that I like to impart, because these are the things that I found to help me become successful. It's because I was committed, totally committed. I wasn't partially involved. I was totally committed. And that's how you get to a level of success in life that makes it work for you. I talk about Vince Lombardi. He was a great Hall of Fame coach. Vince Lombardi was a great coach for the Green Bay Packers. Later, he went on to the Washington Redskins. But he won the first 2 Super Bowls. And Vince is a Hall of Famer. And Vince said about winning and about paying the price. He said, winning is not a sometimes thing. It's an all the times thing. You don't do things right once in a while. You don't win once in a while. Winning is a habit. Unfortunately, so is losing. He says, there's no room for second place in my game. There's only one place, and that's first. He said, running a team is no different from running any other kind of organization. An army, a political party, a business. The principles are the same. The objective is to win. It's a reality of life that all of us are competitive. And the most competitive games attract the most competitive people. That's why we're there, to compete. End quote. Vince Lombardi, Hall of Famer, winner of Super Bowls 1 and 2. These are the kinds of things that you get your head around, and you can achieve whatever level of success that you want. And that's when it becomes excellence. Excellence is when you go beyond that bar, when you do something that's fantastic and great. And we all have the potential to do that. We just have to make that decision. We have to make it happen. Don't look for somebody else to do it. You do it. I tell all the players that I come in contact with, every play that you play, treat it as if it's the last play you'll ever play. And that way you'll never say the two things that prevents us from being successful. I wish I had, or I should have. If you never say these two things, your life would be so much better. I wish I had. I wish I did my homework. I wish I cut the grass. I should have done that. Never say those two things. If you can go through life and never say those two words, I wish I had, I should have, your life would be so successful. Now, you guys are supposed to be asking me some questions. I shouldn't be up here talking. Mike?
Perfect, exactly. And our first question will actually come from those students sitting right in front of you, Mr. Little. So we'll go to Fabius High School there. And if you have a first student come up and ask a question to Mr. Little.
All right. Who picks them? Got to sit in the question seats, Alex.
Do you want to see, I know this is a crazy question, but do you want to see the student too?
No, we're fine with the camera where it's at, Amy. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, Alex.
What gave you all your ambition to get good at football and even get into the Hall of Fame?
What gave me all of my ambition to be good in football and to get into the Hall of Fame? I was always challenged, and I was always told that I couldn't. And my life has been really trying to prove people wrong, because that's a decision that I have to make. Whatever level of success I want, it's up to me, not somebody else. You have to decide how far you want to go and how you want to go. And that was my charge. My motivation was someone telling me I could not. And I'll say, I'll show you. And that's been my whole mantra all my life. It's proving people wrong. So if I know you're an athlete, and I know you may have been told that you couldn't play this position. Go ahead, go out for it. Go for it. See what happens. The person who wins is the one who thinks he can. Thanks for the question, Alex. Next. All right. Why don't you go sit in the question?
You're muted, Mike.
You go ahead. I'll take it.
Okay. A couple of buddies and I mainly.
Couple of buddies. You got buddies.
We love watching tapes of you play. It's really a lot of fun. And I was just wondering, how are you able to stay up while running through guys that we was on your team, Lyle Alzado, big guys trying to knock you down? How are you able to stay up during those runs? Did you use their momentum for your continuous running, or did you just drop your shoulder and go?
Well, one of the things is, and that's a good question, because a lot of people always ask or never ask those kinds of questions. My running style was such that they were a lot bigger than I. And I used to always pretend that I didn't see them coming to tackle me. So I would run in a style where I could see you out of my peripheral. And as soon as you get ready to hit me, I hit you. And then it kind of shocks you a little bit because you wasn't ready to unload. And I would catch you just before you unloaded on me, and I'd just bounce off you and go in a different direction. and that's really good. And one of the things that helped me is I had bow legs. So really to really make a good tackle on somebody is when you hit one leg and hit the other one. But if you saw my legs, they can't come together. And so I had a little bit of an advantage. I was very, very strong. I can lift over 450 pounds at 200 pounds, which was probably one of the strongest guys on my football team. So I had a special gift, a special blessing, in that I had an upper body strength that was as strong as anybody that was 50 pounds heavier than me. So I was strong, and I was blessed with the upper body strength. But my success was leaning into a tackler, hitting him, using my forearms because they can get well. My legs can't get well. Keeping people away from my legs because that's what I run with. I don't need my arms to run. So I would use my arms and my forearms to hit and lift and move away from people. But that's a good question. Thank you.
All right.
Did that make any sense?
Oh, that made a lot of sense. Yeah.
We're going to go then to our friends at Fabius Pompey Elementary for our next question. So if you would unmute there, then ask away.
Okay. Blake?
What was your childhood dream, and did it help you accomplish things as an adult?
What was my childhood?
What was your childhood
What
dream?
was my childhood dream? As a young man growing up in New Haven, Connecticut, my dream was to hopefully one day get a chance to go to college, because no one in my whole family ever had an opportunity to go to college. So I wanted to be the first to do that. So my growing up in Waterbury, Connecticut, New Haven, Connecticut, my dream was to one day not to be a Hall of Fame football player, that just surfaced, but to go to college. I think getting educated is very important. See, one thing in life, education is more important than anything else. It's an ongoing process that will never end. What you achieve in life is always connected to what you have in your mind. So education and learning and studying is an ongoing process that never ends. Everything you achieve in life will be directly related to what you have in your mind. So I encourage everybody to continue learning and studying and challenging yourself, because none of us will ever know what we can become if we never challenge ourselves. So I challenged myself as a young man to find a way to continue learning and growing and going to college. And that was my goal, is to have an opportunity to go to college. So that was my dream as a young man.
Great question. If I may interject, Mr. Little, I remember a story you told about the difference between failing and not succeeding. And I think
Right.
maybe go in there with maybe some SAT test scores or.
Yeah, it's really funny because there are two books on the table that I wrote. This one here deals with, a part of this is about how I took the SAT exam when I was wanting to go to college, which is a segue into the last question. And I never failed the SAT. I took it 5 times and never failed it. I just never passed it. So it was an attitude about, you only fail when you think you can't do any better. But you never fail if you don't stop trying. Failure is when you stop trying. So I never stopped trying, taking the SATs, because I know at some point in time I would have to pass it. So I never flunked it, I just didn't pass it. And eventually I found the test that I was able to take, and I went from 200 to 1100, over 1,000%, and never been done in history of SATs. Improving your scores 1,000%. I did, because I never committed to accepting the fact that I failed it. I just never passed it. And it's an attitude. My attitude is such that, well, I didn't fail it, I just didn't pass it. I'll try it again. I took it 5 times till I passed it. That's funny.
Perfect. I do love that story, so thank you for sharing.
You bet, Mike. You bet.
We're gonna go then out to our friends in Bozeman, Montana. So if you guys out there could please unmute and then ask your question to Mr. Little.
Alrighty. What did you use for motivation?
What did I use for motivation? The only thing that I can say that I use is when you told me that I couldn't. That was my motivator, because you're the only person to know when you've had enough. You know, I mean, I see people that quit and they got something else in the tank. My motivation was, you tell me that I can't do anything, and that's going to be a big challenge, because I know that I can if I put my heart and soul and mind to it. There's nothing any of us can accomplish if we don't quit. I remember, I'll tell you a little story about a poem that I knew about don't quit. And I used to study poetry and tried to learn and tried to advance my knowledge and experiences. And I came across a poem that I really, really liked. And I read the poem, and it's called Don't Quit. It says, when things go wrong, as it sometimes will, when the road you're trudging seems all uphill, when your funds are low and your debt is high and you want to pay but you have to sign, don't give up though the peace seems low, you may succeed with another blow. Often the goal is nearer than it seems to a faint and faltering man. Often the struggler has given up when he might have captured the victor's cup, and he learns too late when the night comes down how close he was to the golden crown. I was in a track meet in New Jersey State track meet. I was racing against the number one 220-yarder in the state. His name was Rick Spooner, and he was the fastest 220 guy in the country. And I was lined up in the lane next to him. And when that gun went off, that poem came to my mind. As I was running around that course against the fastest 220 guy in the state of New Jersey, and I turned that corner to come home, when I leaned into the tape, that poem was a part of my whole race, and I broke the New Jersey State record because of that poem, because I didn't quit. My motivation was, don't give up. Though the peace seems low, you may succeed with another blow. Often the goal is nearer than it seems to a faint and faltering man. Often the struggler has given up when he might have captured the victor's cup. How many times in your life have you given up when you know you could have won? A lot of times. A lot of times. We give up when we don't really need to. And you need something to continue to propel you, to push you, to never give up until it's over. And that, I still remember that poem. You know how long ago that poem was that I memorized that poem? You know how long ago that was? I was in military school. I've since been to college, I've been to the pros, I've been out of the pros, and guess what? I still remember that poem because it helped me become a New Jersey State champion in a race. And if you have to have things like that to motivate you, you need to do that. You have things on your refrigerator, things on your mirror, things on your door that always will remind you that you are special and you have the opportunity to do whatever you want to do if you believe that you can. That's a good question. Thank you, sir.
And thank you. I hope, I know I see some hands writing and stuff, so I hope some people are taking notes. I know myself, I wrote that last line down. I think I'm going to go Google that once we get done here today. That might be hanging up on the desk. So thank you for sharing that, Mr. Little.
Oh, you bet, Mike.
So we're going to go back to the students right in front of you there at the high school. If we have a student ready with the next question, go ahead.
You may not be able to get over. It's okay. Thank you.
Who was your role model, and is he or she still your role model?
Who was my role model, and if he or she still is? That's a good question. I had a couple role models, and I could tell you one was Sugar Ray Leonard. I don't know if you remember Sugar Ray Leonard. He's an Olympic gold medal winner, 147-pound fighter, welterweight champion of the world. And I remember as a young man, and maybe not a young man, but younger than I am today, watching a fight against Thomas Hearns, and his referee, his manager wanted to stop the fight because he was beat up pretty good. And I remember the Mike was in the corner, and he says, give me one more round. You can make the decision after the next round, but I want another shot at it. I ain't done yet. And the trainer says, no, champ, I'm going to call the fight. He says, no, don't call the fight. Give me one more round. So he goes out, and he knocks Thomas Hearns out of the ring, and he wins the championship. He became a hero of mine. Because here's a guy that everybody else wanted him to quit. Everybody else wanted him to throw in a towel. But he's the only one that can make that decision about what his capabilities are. You're the only one to know how far you can go, how much gas you got left. And he became my hero that I've always aspired to recognize and want to be like Sugar Ray Leonard. The other guy was the great Bill Russell. Bill Russell was a great basketball player, won 5 championships for the Boston Celtics. One of the best centers in the world. When I was your age, he used to come through, because I lived in Connecticut, they were in Boston. Sam Jones, Casey Jones, Bill Russell used to come to my school and have a talk with us. And I remember some of the things that he shared with me. So now, as a Hall of Famer as he is, when I walk up to him, he look at me and he goes, I knew you would make it, because you had the intensity and you had the skills and you had the ability to work hard and never give up. So here's a guy that was a role model of mine that I've gotten to know on a different level now. But between Bill Russell and Sugar Ray Leonard, I had 2 great role models that I looked at. And they were all really good athletes and good people. It's not about just your athletic stuff. It's what you do in your community. It's what I talk about, the 6 pillars. I talk about the sharing and caring and the citizenship and the integrity and the excellence and all of the things that really, really are important to your success in life. But thank you for that question. Thanks, Mike.
All right, and we're going to go to our friends there at the elementary school there in Fabius. If you guys would ask a question of Mr. Little.
Hi, my name is Julia. Questions are, how did it make you feel to get into the Hall of Fame, and were you proud of yourself?
Well, I'll tell you what. Getting into the Hall of Fame was one of the biggest accomplishments in my life. I can't tell you how it felt, but if you saw the picture when they announced my name and I fell to the floor, it's like all the life had gone out of me, because I've been waiting for 40 plus years and I finally got in, and it was an overwhelming experience. To be a Hall of Famer and to be the number 257th Hall of Famer in pro football history, for me, it's an accomplishment that I can't describe, because it was one of the greatest things that's ever happened to me, to be one of those individuals in a very exclusive fraternity that has the best of the best, and I'm considered one of those. It's an unbelievable experience. The other experience is my classmate, the Vice President of the United States, presented me at the Hall of Fame, and he gave me a tour of the White House in a way that I cannot even describe to you, but it was an unbelievable tour by the Vice President as he walked through the halls with his arm around my neck and holding my wife's hand, telling all of the people in the White House, this is my friend, my classmate from Syracuse, and I told you he was coming. He's a Pro Football Hall of Famer. So the 2 great things that's happened was being inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame and having a tour of the White House by my classmate, Vice President Joe Biden. So I had a great time, and being a Hall of Famer is one of the greatest things that's ever happened to me.
All right. Thank you for that question. It's a great question. I personally love seeing our Hall of Famers light up when they talk about that moment that they first knew they were going to get enshrined. So perfect. We're going to go back out to Bozeman. If we have a second question from you guys out there, please unmute and go ahead.
When someone's going through a hard time, what advice could you give them?
If someone's going through a hard time, everybody goes through hard times. It's how you deal with it. I mean, it's a challenge every day for a lot of people. It's just that you have to manage your stress, and you have to manage. Here's the deal. Your attitude is so important to getting through and making very difficult decisions. If you have a positive attitude about everything you do, you can get through a lot of very difficult and challenging periods. You just have to have belief and faith in who you are and what you are. I talk about, in my book, I talk about GPS. Everybody refers to GPS as Global Positioning System. But GPS for me stands for grace. We've all been given a grace or a blessing. The P is for the passion. Each of us all have a passion. It doesn't have to be like anybody else. And the S in the GPS is for the skill. When we fulfill our passion in life, and through the skills that we learn, we can find out what our purpose is in life. And when you find out what your purpose is in life, your whole life changes. You're a different person because you know why you're here. So when you're going through difficult times, you rely on your passion of what you are and who you are, and you rely on the skill that you've acquired over your lifetime to get you through those very challenging and difficult times. We all have difficult times, but it's how you handle them and how you deal with them that makes a difference. If your attitude is positive, because there's a couple of things that you have 100% control over. Your attitude is one of the things that you have 100% control over. The other two is your enthusiasm and your participation. You can control how much you participate in anything. You can control your enthusiasm about everything you do, and you can control your attitude. So if you're in control of those three things that you are dealing with every day, you can get through very difficult times because it's your attitude. It's the number one thing that requires you to get through life. That's why every morning before I get up, when I wake up, I always give myself a checkup from the neck up. And I try to find a way to make something happen today. And my advice to those that are going through challenging and difficult times is to say, it could be worse. It could be worse. Because as long as you're on the green side of the grass, you can change things. You can make a difference. You can make things happen in your life. And we're all going to have challenges. It's how we deal with it. And the only thing I can say to that person is have faith and confidence, and get your attitude adjusted, and change the way things are happening in your life. You got control of it. You're in control.
Perfect. Great question. And if you could, Mr. Little, share maybe about remember a story where you were going through a hard time, and there was a teacher named Robert Schreck that showed maybe some courage on his end and commitment to his purpose.
Well, a lot of the students here saw the Hall of Fame speech, and I talked about my strengths became my weaknesses because when I was in 7th grade, 8th grade, I got kicked out of school. I had some fights, and my strength, I was stronger than most, and I had some fights with people, teachers, etc., and they kicked me out of school. And oh my goodness, the worst thing in the world is for me to be sitting on the curb with no opportunity to go to school. And what happened to me is it's phenomenal. My dad had passed away when I was 5. And while sitting on the curb, a spirit of him came to me and said, Floyd, I had chosen you to take my place, to do what I couldn't do and to finish what I couldn't finish. You need to find a way to get back in school because I charge you with looking after my family that I left. And I got up, and these are hard times. I got up and went back to school and begged the teachers to let me back. They wouldn't let me back. I stayed there. They put me out. I refused to go out. They put me out. I came back, and a guy named Bob Schreck, who was an English teacher, put his arms around me. He says, I'll help you. And that day, I started my journey as a leader. And I never looked back. And I became the president of my class. And I just thank Robert Schreck for believing in me and trusting in me and giving me another chance to be a better person, a better student, And because of that, I'm able to be here today in the Pro Football Hall of Fame because someone reached out and comforted me and said, I'll get you back in school, but you're going to have to really toe the line and you can't get in any trouble again. I have not been in trouble again since the 8th grade. Nothing. I've been towing the line all these years. And I need to just break the line, do something crazy. I'm just kidding. But no, thank you, Mike. And they saw the speech. They saw my Hall of Fame speech. A lot of people saw it. And there's a part in there when I talked about being angry, an angry young man and was kicked out of school. And it really, it changed my life. Bob Schreck really helped change my life. And thanks for mentioning that, Mike.
Sure. Well, thank you for sharing. So we'll go back to the high school there in Fabius if we have another student ready with a question.
Yeah.
Have you ever worried that wealth would affect your character?
Have I ever worried if wealth would affect my character? No, I never had the wealth. I've had a lot of success, but you define what. See, if you got your health, you got your wealth. So as long as I had my health, I had my wealth. And I'm not concerned about tomorrow or the next day. I enjoy what I do today, and I've had a lot of opportunities to be successful, and I've taken them. I was a Ford and Lincoln Mercury Mazda dealer for 32 years. I worked as an NBC sports color commentator for 2. I've been back at Syracuse for the last 4 years, and of all the opportunities I've had over my lifetime, being back at Syracuse these last 4 years has been the best time of my life. I've enjoyed my stay here because I get a chance to do this, get a chance to mentor all of the students, not only the athletes, but any and all the students at Syracuse University. They come and have an open door policy. We have conversations about their future. I've written 13, 14 letters of recommendations. They've all gotten in. I've watched them grow and mature at law school and elsewhere. And they come by and they say, thank you. That's the things that I like. That's the wealth that I have, is that people, I'm paying it forward. I'm leaving a legacy with others about who I am and what I am. So I've enjoyed this opportunity more than playing the football, more than being in the car business. These 4 years have really cemented my legacy and what I like about what I will leave when I'm done. So thank you for that. I mean, wealth is not anything that I look to be. It's if I got my health, I got my wealth. Because if I have that, I can change anything in life that I want. If I can do and I have the mobility and I have the consciousness, I can have anything I want. And I would rather have if you had a chance to have a lot of wealth or your health, which would you take? Everybody would take health over wealth. So I have my health, so I have my wealth. Thank you.
All right. We're going to go over then to Fabius Pompey Elementary School. We have a student there ready with a question.
Yes. Nice and loud, Micah. You need some help? Hold on 1 second. Micah, can I help you?
Hold on. Okay.
All right. His question is, why didn't you give up when people told you you would be good at football?
Why didn't I give up?
Yes.
Why didn't I give up when people told me I wouldn't be any good at football? And I mention that because that is a big challenge for me. They told me I couldn't, why would you want to go to law school? You can't get in. Well, I couldn't pass the test to get in, but I took another test and I got a trial to go to law school. And out of 188 students, I was in the top 25. So it's just, I'm not one that gives up when I think that I can make a difference. There's a lot of people that I've been mentoring that everybody else has given up on. One of them was the captain of the football team last year because I didn't give up. It's hard for me to give up on anybody, so I'm not giving up on me. So if you came to me and you needed help and support, you got it. You may not like what I'm going to ask you to do, but I'm only going to give you information that's going to make you better, to make you perform. And I want to recognize that you have to, and you're willing to make the commitment, and you're willing to make the sacrifice. If you're not willing to do these two things, then I can't help you, because what you want to do and what you want to be, you got to make a sacrifice to do it. So for me, I don't give up. When they told me I couldn't play football, I was a real good baseball player, and I also was a basketball player. And I captained every team that I've been on. And this is the thing about leadership qualities and whether people were born to lead or they learn to lead. I'm not sure. I don't know how people become leaders. It's through your work ethic, it's through your integrity, it's through your honesty, it's through your, these are the qualities, traits, character traits that makes you leader. When you're always, ready to show somebody what it's like, you don't have to be voted the leader, you just lead by example. And that's what I was. I captained my team in high school, I captained my team in military school, I captained the team for Syracuse. I was captain of the Denver Broncos every year I played, and there's no other captain ever been in all the sports, rookie captain of any professional team. Here I am. I'm the first rookie captain in any sport that, as a rookie, I was the captain of the Denver Broncos. It's never happened before. Now, why? I think it was because my name was easy to spell. Little. That's what I said. Because I wanted to vote for Kazakowski, but I couldn't spell it. But I don't know. I think people look at you and see your work ethic. It's just going to tell all these these regular college football players that your pro day starts as a freshman, not the week in your senior year when they're going to come test you. You start your journey the first day of practice. That's when your journey begins. That's where your journey begins in anything you do. And if you understand that, it's what you accomplish over a period of time is going to make you a standout or a person. It's the consistency of how you do things and how you approach things that make you a winner, that make you a leader. People want to follow somebody who has work ethic, that shows up, that's reliable, that's responsible, that's respectful. All the things we talked about earlier. And that's what makes a good leader. I hope that answers your question.
Perfect. And then also, Michelle, if you could maybe talk about the importance of, we always hear about negative peer pressure, but there's such a thing as positive peer pressure too, in surrounding yourself with positive role models, surrounding yourself with greatness. You had the honor of wearing 44 at Syracuse and some of the great history with that university. Can you speak a little about those individuals?
Well, here it is. I mean, I think one of the conversations today is about integrity and bringing back the number. And I know everybody's here is trying to figure out, should they bring back the number 44, and what's my feeling and what my take is on it. Well, it's never been at a point where it's never to be brought back, because my grandson is going to be wearing it in 8 years. So it's already been established that it's going to be brought back, hopefully. But what I request is that a person that's going to be a part of a legacy that's one of the great traditions of Syracuse football is that they have integrity, they have those Hall of Fame qualities, they have some things that add to the legacy. They just can't just give it to anybody and it's gone the next year or the year after, or the person fails. I think it's challenging for a person to have to take on that weight as an 18-year-old. It's not fair. If you give it to somebody who doesn't have the qualities or potential or the opportunity, then it's going to kill it. So what I like to see is that we certainly make sure we give it to somebody. In fact, to really take it down and give it to somebody that's got the ability, got the character, got the athleticism, and has the respect of his team. So you got to be a leader. And I think that will, I will be okay with that.
Perfect.
I don't think I'd be okay with just giving it to anybody.
Perfect. And I think we have about maybe 1 or 2 minutes left. If you have any closing remarks you'd like to leave the students with here today, Mr. Little, something that maybe we talked about earlier, you just want to reemphasize, or maybe something we didn't get to.
Well, you know, I think that one of the most important things for me to leave with you is have faith and confidence in yourself. And to know that there's only 3 types of people: those that make things happen, those that watch things happen, and those that don't know what happened. And to always do the best thing you can do. Try to do it as if it's the last time you do it. If you did that and you never say, I wish I had or I should have, you'll be successful. If you always say, if you think you can, it's always about being positive. If you live in positive expectations, you can make things happen in your life. And to control the controllables, control your attitude, control your participation, control your enthusiasm. I mean, just to make sure that you're going to sit up and you're going to step up and you're going to represent every time you get a chance to do something great. And be the leaders that you are and never, ever give up. These are the things that I think is most important. It's going to be tough. It's going to be challenging. But if you have the attitude that I can do this, I can win. I may not be doing well, but it ain't over till it's over. I'll get another shot at this, and I'll do better. Just have that kind of faith and confidence and resolve that here's what I want to do, here's what I want to be, here's where I want to go. And I've talked to a couple of them who said what they want to be. One want to be a highway patrol person and a sociologist and some chemical engineer. But if that's your focus and if that's your goal, then you start today preparing yourself for those challenges that you will have in life, and make sure that you're going to leave everything on the table. And you're never going to say, well, if I had stayed home. Well, stay home and do what you got to do before you go out. These are the kind of things I want to leave with you. That's the kind of things that's helped me become a Hall of Famer. Just the last thing, Mike, is the trustworthiness we talked about: respect, responsibility, fairness, caring, citizenship, and we've added excellence. The quality of being outstanding is excellent. The quality of being outstanding and really, really good. And that's what excellence is. And all of you are excellent. And I thank you for coming, being a part of this, asking the questions, being enthusiastic. Thank you, administrators back there, for making this possible, because it's important for me to have an opportunity to really, really interact with some of the people that's going to be our future leaders. So thank you, and good luck to all of you.
Perfect, and thank you, Mr. I think we should all Perfect. All right. Once again, thank you, Mr. Little, for doing everything you do here for us at the Pro Football Hall of Fame and for the game itself. We do sincerely appreciate that, and this will conclude our program for today.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, then Amy, are you there?